Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, set your alarmo for midnight. You gotta wake up for pre-orders. Please let me help you. Come inside. So the Nintendo Cartridge Society lets me help you with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Nintendo Direct on Mario Kart World. And then on Thursday, we're going to be talking about what words mean in Nintendo titles. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, that's right. Get out your spiral notebook because we're going to be mapping sentences, mapping Nintendo titles.
Yes, that's right. We're going to be diagramming sentences, putting them on the chalkboard, which we wheeled in special for this purpose.
Yes.
I gotta say, it fills my heart with joy to recite the immortal words of "Lady in the Red Dress" in
Lady
every.
in Red. I assume that's who that song was written about.
Yes, that song is obviously about one woman in every village in Zelda 2.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can heal up, Mark. You gotta find her and she heals you up.
I know. I've listened to the song. I know how it works.
That is textual to the song. Yes, Mark, if people want to support us, they can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if they're doing so at the 8 or 16-bit level, they get access to episodes that we put out, like NCS Arcade.
Yes, that's right. This is a mini series where Patrick and I are playing games that we've mostly never beat before. And for the month of April, we are going to be talking about Okami. And this is the third season of NCS Arcade. So, there's quite the back library of us talking about other video games. So if you like hearing us talk about that here, you'll love hearing us talk about it there.
Whoa, that's fantastic. Also, we do these listener feedback episodes, which are free for everyone to listen to and free for everyone to email in if they want to get their thoughts about the game or questions about the game or whatever. We'll use those. So you can always email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com if we haven't put out that listener feedback episode yet. So you have a chance for Okami is what I'm saying right now.
That's right. Yeah. But keep those email fingers warmed up because that's not all you can do with that email address.
That's right. You can also send us your questions for our 866th episode. 433, the segment that we do in every other episode of this show. We talk about not Nintendo stuff for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For our 433rd episode, we did a whole episode of 433 segments. 866... I don't know that we need to promise that the episode's going to be twice as long.
It's going to be 8 hours and 66 minutes. So
no,
no, don't do the math.
I'm not 8 hours.
Don't you dare do the math.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes. 9 hours and 6 minutes. But you should email us your questions. As just anything. Ask us about anything. Just not Nintendo.
Yeah, that's right. If you want to know about the origins of this show, if you want to know about the origins of Patrick and myself,
sure. I don't know how well we're going to be able to speak to that. The origins of us?
That's right.
And then if you're not in the Discord, you should be. Email us. We'll send you an invitation. You can get in there, get chatting. Mark, I feel like we got stuff to talk about today, so let's just get into it. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Both of us, I would say, I was going to say mired in Okami, but that feels ungenerous to Okami.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't feel like I have to trudge through it or anything, but I am. That is primarily what I've been playing.
We are currently trudging through Okami.
I haven't had a chance really to play anything else, but I also feel like, not that there isn't a ton of stuff I could be playing. Like I never finished Echoes of Wisdom. I never turned on, I don't think, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake. Like there's I've never Pikmin 4. Like there's a ton of stuff I could be playing, but really I am kind of in Okami mode and then biding my time for Switch 2. That really feels like where I'm at right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got like a month and a half still, right? Like
Right.
there's still some time between
Yeah,
now
for
and
sure.
then,
But it's just like, I don't know. It feels like that's where all the
we'll have
focus
another.
and exciting and energy
Yeah,
is.
well, that's for sure. That's where the excitement is. But we'll have another NCS arcade between now and then.
Oh yeah, no,
So, like,
I know,
Mark, you're gonna have to play games.
I know that I'm gonna have to play something that is not on the Switch too, and I've
Yeah.
like accepted that. I'm fine
Yes.
with it. I'm not like dreading it or anything. But that's really where that's like the next thing, the next like game
Right,
that
right.
I'm really excited to wrap my head around, arms around,
Yeah,
hands
you
around.
can wrap your head around something.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. Yeah, I mean, similarly, I am also, mostly playing either Okami or Resident Evil 4 for the Super NPC Radio Games Club on Resident Evil 4, the remake, which I'm loving. I knew I was going to have a very good time with it because it's Resident Evil 4, but the remake is just like it's just a very good remake and does a great job of echoing what's fun about the original game, that it is like more actiony. I feel like it ratchets that up in a way that's super compelling. But this weekend I also started doing the Mercenaries mode in Resident Evil 4 remake, which is it's a thing you have to download separately. It's free, but you just have to download it separately. It doesn't like I don't know why you have to download something separately, but you do. And then when you start it, it says like it's recommended that you finish the campaign before. And I was like, blah blah blah
okay,
blah.
sure.
It doesn't want to spoil that certain characters are in the game,
see. Yeah.
or locations or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I know. And then I spent like one evening while Sarah was watching Top Chef, just kind of like running around in Mercenaries mode. Did you ever sink any real time into those mercenary modes?
No, I never did. Do you remember when it was a standalone 3DS game?
Yeah.
No, but I don't even know that I've ever played it before. Oh, maybe a little bit on. Oh, was it included? Was there a multiplayer mode in the or not? Yeah, like the HD ports of Revelations. Maybe I played a little bit there. I can't remember.
Ooh,
Anyways, I don't think
yeah.
so. No, obviously
Yeah.
nothing of substance. Yeah.
It was just like fun, it's fun to like chain together zombie kills and like get more time and all this kind of stuff. It's just a super compelling like formula for gameplay, especially in a game like Resident Evil 4, which is so much more like kind of actiony and like survivally, and less like you're in a haunted house and you're scrapping for ammo and whatever. Like I don't ever feel like I'm going to run out of ammo in one of these mercenary modes.
Is it, when you say it's a separate download, is it like do you launch it separately on the PS5? Like it's or it's just like something that you access through Resident Evil 4 remake,
Yes.
but you have to download it.
This is correct.
Oh, okay, got it.
That second thing is correct. And I'm not sure why they unless it's just like it's an unnecessary part of the game. So if you don't want to like load up your hard drive or something,
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that it just reminds me of, I think they did that with like Doom on the Switch.
yeah, totally.
Where the single player game, came on the cartridge or whatever, and then you had to separately download the multiplayer mode if you wanted.
Right.
It.
Yeah, I sort of remember us talking about that the year it came out, and me being like, "Oh, I guess if you want the online mode, you have to be able to connect to the internet
Anyway,
so why not make you download it?" It's clearly just me being cowardly and, and accepting the status quo when I maybe need not. Also, I forget if I mentioned this on last week's episode, but I completed Mario's Picross on Game Boy.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. I've done everything there is to do in it, and now I miss it. It was kind of my go-to like brain turn off.
Oh, sure,
game.
yeah.
And I really, really like the limitations of like 8-bit Picross, where like it won't do any of the counting for you. There's no like button where you can just kind of like mark a square temporarily. You're either like marking it as filled in or you're putting an X there. And there's something about it being so mean that I'm like, yes, that's what I want. That's what I want from my Picross. But okay, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
All right, weekly Nintendo music update.
Yes.
Fire Emblem Engage.
Cool.
Yes, I guess. I don't really know the soundtrack to Engage. I gave up on it pretty easily.
It's good.
Yeah. Three Houses isn't on here yet. I'm a Three Houses boy.
Right.
So that's the Fire Emblem soundtrack I would be excited for. But it's a whole like Fire Emblem day because also Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones is available now on Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. This is a Game Boy Advance release.
Yes, and was the second of these games that was published in North America, and is a cool like the game is cool. It is structured a little bit differently than like a normal Fire Emblem game in that you have these like three protagonists and you kind of like shift around in their perspectives, and it like kind of resists the like chosen one kind of narrative, which is kind of at the heart of most Fire Emblems. So I've played this one just a little bit on Wii U because I bought it there, but I am, who knows when exactly I'm gonna find time to do it, but like I really want to play through this one on NSO. And just cool to see these kind of like the little holes in the first party library starting to get filled in here.
Yeah, totally.
It's very cool.
I think that's pretty much it for new releases. Nothing else that I wanted to call out that's
Yeah,
really coming out this week.
just glancing at it, and I'm feeling, Mark, much the same way. There's 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 really nothing else in here. Okay, great. Well, let's close out the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers did not play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah,
Currently going on, or
no, just I
over
think
now?
finished.
Okay.
In Tokyo this year.
Right, so we're just gonna be talking about like announcements out of Star Wars Celebration, because another Star Wars movie got put on the calendar.
Yes,
with
yeah,
with a date and a title.
Because what was it? I guess 23 Celebration 23 in Anaheim. They trotted out some directors. There's like going to be a Rey movie. James Mangold maybe still because making a movie, and then Dave Filoni's also maybe making a movie, and they mentioned all of these, also like a Taika Waititi movie, but none of those really like had any showing this year. But they did announce this new Star Wars Starfighter starring Ryan Gosling and directed by Sean Levy.
Right. Well, and we knew that Levy was doing a Star Wars, right?
Yes,
and like Gosling was kind of like rumored. Yeah. So this was the confirmation of that with the title Star Wars Starfighter. First of all, gotta say, the title, I love it. I think it's so fun.
It's right to the point. It is funny that they're like, because they also in 2020 announced, what was that, Rogue Squadron? Was that the movie that
Patty Jenkins
was going to make? And they're like, so it just seems like they're like, all right, we really want to make some kind of like Top Gun,
just like
Star
Hot
Wars
Shot pilot.
movie.
Yes, exactly.
But eventually we will get there, and it seems like maybe that's the case with Starfighter. But yeah, 2027. Also Memorial Day.
Yes.
And so, after in the beginning of the Disney era, Star Wars was kind of a holiday thing.
Yes.
And now it seems like they're back to trying to make it a summer tentpole.
Yeah, which was the role that they occupied at the very least during the prequels. I think when were the originals released?
I think also May. I think that's why May the 4th.
But also it sounds like
yes. And you're right. I actually don't think the original Star Wars was released on May the 4th.
Right. No, that would be I feel like May the 4th is something that we as a culture came to in the last like 20 years.
I think it's like Mario Day.
Yes, that's right.
I was just going to look up when May 25th. So it's all when Star Wars
right. Okay. So like the end of May. And I had grown to really like having a Star Wars movie in December.
Me too.
and I think they did it well 3 times, and then really calamitously once. And maybe it has ruined Star Wars at Christmas.
Look, we're not saying Rise of Skywalker is responsible for COVID. That's not what we're saying.
No, but look
It
when
didn't
one
help.
happened and when the other one happened. Yes. Okay, so Starfighter, I like Ryan Gosling too, so like I'm
I'm hopeful.
Sean Levy, whatever.
Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
don't really have strong feelings. I'm eternally hopeful though.
Yes. And I think we're maybe dancing around at that Mandalorian and Grogu still on track, presumably
For next year.
for May next year.
Mhm.
Right. So 2 years in a row of summer Star Wars movies, and not like a bunch of other like. There's, like you said, acknowledge like all the other movies that are still in active development or whatever, but they're not threatening to like load up a year with 3 Star Wars movies.
No, and I mean, there's not even really that many TV shows. So like Andor season 2 comes out today, and then I guess we have Ahsoka. They confirmed that Ahsoka season 2 is starting filming like basically now.
Right, but that means it'll be out in 2 years.
Right, but I think that is the only live action Star Wars like Disney Plus show.
Right, yes, that's correct. This May 4th, we're getting the Tales of the Underworld or whatever it's called.
Oh, sure,
Tales of the Bounty Hunters or whatever. That is like the third in this series that they're doing of like 6 kind of like 15-minute shorts split across like 2 characters. This is about Asajj Ventress and who's the other one? Asajj. Oh, and Cad Bane. Which, hey, I'm excited, but like Disney, come on. you don't want to make Star Wars shows about characters people know. They are also making a
Darth Maul
series.
I just want to say about the Mandalorian and Grogu. I think it is. I mean, good for him. I mean that genuinely, but I think it is so funny that Pedro Pascal like gets brought out for all of these things. Because I imagine he's on set for like 4 days for like the 2 scenes where he takes his helmet off and then he comes in for like voiceover.
Right. If you're watching Last of Us season 2 and you've not watched the most recent episode, skip ahead just a little bit. But it's funny how much publicity he had to do for this season.
I know. Well, it's just like I think simultaneously he was theoretically filming Last of Us season 2, Fantastic Four, and Mandalorian Grogu like at the same time.
Right.
So it basically tells you, I think he was filming Fantastic Four, essentially.
Right. I mean, I think that's probably right. I also think it's possible that they just like, went over to the dial on the side of the volume and turned it from Tatooine to Baxter Building. And like, that's it. That's all you need to do.
Good point.
Okay. We were accompanied today by pianist Kyle Shaw. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Okay, after delaying pre-orders in North America for the Switch 2, Nintendo revealed the new pre-order dates for retailers last week. So pre-orders will now go live at all major retailers on Thursday, April 24th, so just 2 days from now. And we actually know the times.
Yes.
Which is
Does this feel unprecedented to you?
No, we for sure knew the time, at least for Best Buy for the Switch. But I think it's nice that all the retailers are like, here's the time that we're going to be starting it.
Sure. So I mean it's pretty straightforward, right?
Right.
Target, Walmart, and Best Buy are all doing midnight on Thursday morning, right?
Yeah, Eastern.
So,
all this
time.
Is like Eastern, yeah.
So adjusted for us, it's going to be 9 p.m. the day before. So Wednesday night.
Yeah.
You and I are recording our topic episode in advance because we would normally be recording at that time.
That's right. To get out of the way of pre-orders, that way we can, set up our 12 monitors and enlist our friends and family.
That's right. It's only one computer, but 12,
12
monitors. I don't know that it's going to help us.
But we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. So we know that those will go live then. GameStop is the only kind of oddball in here, right?
That's right. They are going to be doing online orders at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and seemingly like when doors open, if you want to place an in-person order, which maybe is also 11 a.m. I actually have no idea what time GameStop's open.
I believe it is also 11 a.m. And that is, of course, then specific to whatever time zone you're in. So,
okay.
if you miss the online pre-orders, but you're in the Midwest, you could still go to your local GameStop at 11 and try to get it that way.
I'm happy to know the specific times. I do wish Target, Walmart, and Best Buy had staggered it by a little bit.
Right. Yes.
So that way you could try one, move on to the other. But with our 12 monitor setup, we're probably good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to see 12 different versions of you were not able to secure.
That's right. What do you think the deal is going to be? Because I remember, I was quick on the button for the Switch one.
Yes.
But I don't remember it being, all that challenging. I don't remember running into a bunch of, errors. You know how you can sometimes get that where...
Yeah.
I remember it being pretty smooth.
I remember being pretty smooth, too. I do think that, obviously there was a lot of excitement for the original Switch, but the universe of people who were tuned in to be excited in the first place had dwindled to kind of historic lows for Nintendo.
That
right?
is true, yeah, for sure.
So and any of the popularity that it gained from the Wii, that wasn't carrying over to excitement for the Switch. So I don't know. I just feel like there are going to be more hyper engaged Nintendo weirdos trying to pre-order these things now. And I mean, who knows? In the greater internet, it seems like people are angry about pricing and making lots of threats to not buy it when it launches. But in our sort of bubble of reasonable people, I feel like we're kind of just yeah, I mean, I suppose it could. I wish it was cheaper, but I understand why it's not, and I'm going to buy it anyway. Seems to be the prevailing attitude towards it. So I don't know. I feel like it could be tough to get this one.
Yeah, I feel like with any Nintendo product, or I'm sure it was the same way for PlayStation and maybe even for Xbox. But
Right.
anytime there's a new launch,
those launched during the pandemic too, which
right,
in 2020. So it was super tough to get the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 on their initial release.
And Nintendo has been talking a lot about how they're trying to have many consoles available at launch.
Right.
And so
but who knows how much the tariff stuff screwed with that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it'll just be interesting. It will be very interesting to see what because I think you're right that there's definitely more interest in the Switch 2 than the Switch was coming out of the Wii U, where even people who thought the Switch was cool looking were kind of but I don't know if Nintendo can pull out of this tailspin. And with the Switch 2, I think there's broadly more excitement, some concerns about pricing, but broadly more excitement. So will the theoretically increased production of the console match that demand? But like I said, I feel like it's always safest to assume that a Nintendo product is going to be difficult to get.
Yeah, I think there's also just been a little while since there was a hot new Nintendo thing that was hard to get, right?
Yeah.
What was the last one of those? Switch 8 years ago?
No, it's yeah. I mean, I would say probably the because you're right. The
Ring Fit,
the classic edition. You're right.
COVID.
During COVID, the Nintendo 64 controllers.
Sure,
for a while. But those are really specific examples.
Yeah, those are really niche, low production quantity things.
The thing that the things that I think are going to be harder to get are the accessories.
I agree with that, and I also we can assume that a lot of these accessories are going to be available from these retailers and that pre-orders for them are going to go live at the exact same time. I mean, first of all, do you have a strategy about that? Are you going to lock in your Mario Kart World bundle?
I don't know what to do.
Loop back around?
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
I mean, that's sort of what I'm thinking, because I think I mean, we got to talk about what we want to pre-order with it, right? I think it'd be good to get a Pro controller. And I'd like this camera right away because I think that'll be fun and stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
But are those things that other people are going to be I need all of that too?
Especially because they are not cheap and they got a little less expensive.
Cheap, yes.
So yeah, I mean that's a good point. Do you remember? Because my memory, and I might be wrong. Did you pre-order accessories with your Switch?
I pre-ordered a Pro controller. Yeah.
And do you remember what your strategy was for that?
No.
I mean, again, it was like a decade ago, so who knows?
Boy, that is true. No, I mean, I remember us going to the Best Buy,
Yeah.
to the Best Buy, waiting in line
For sure.
and like I remember the launch event, but we were not leaving, neither you or I, with like nearly the haul that the people around us
For
were
sure.
leaving with, who were pre-ordering a bunch of amiibo and
Yeah, because I just bought the console.
right, and there were people buying like the special edition of Zelda.
Right.
There's no special edition of any of these games. I mean, any of like the first party games. So like that's not a concern this time out. But it was for the original launch.
Yeah. I so my goal is to get it from Best Buy because I want to recreate
Me
the
too.
Switch experience and like
Are you
pick it
gonna
up in person.
Come to my Best Buy?
That's my plan. Is
Awesome,
to do
I
it,
love
is do
it.
it from the Atwater one, so we can like pick it up together.
Mhm.
I'm assuming like holding
Not
hands,
to,
like
not to
skipping.
dox ourselves for where and when we're going to be exactly, but also Connor and Jeremy and Matt Apodaca is going to be there. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to be able
Drew
to.
Mackey maybe.
I'm hoping to be able to recreate that. But that's gonna be my primary, like midnight,
Yes.
or Eastern time. I'm gonna be aiming for that. Then there's also like the backup. Hopefully, we don't know how many like invites Nintendo will end up sending out.
Right.
But
so
like
you're referring to the pre-ordering from Nintendo.com.
That's right. Like
Yeah.
May 8th is when they said that they would start
Yes.
sending out emails to the first wave of people.
Right,
for
and then you
pre-orders
have
there.
72 hours
That's
after
right.
they send out the email to actually place the pre-order.
So yeah, I don't. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely, we will. It is when May 8th. Okay. When the original pre-order date was it was supposed to be
The
like
9th,
last week,
yeah.
right? Or 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Mhm.
When there was a disparity of a month between the regular retailers and the Nintendo.com pre-orders, I was a little bit like, man, that'll be a harrowing couple weeks if you don't have one locked in. You're like, well, now I just got to roll the dice and hope for
Right,
this.
totally.
Now the time is has collapsed on itself. So I'm like, well, okay, if we don't get that pre-order, we'll know in just a couple weeks if we can get them from Nintendo.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, having only wait, a couple of weeks is nice, but still feels like your
Right.
point of last resort.
Hey, I've said it a bunch of times, but trying to buy Nintendo products is one of my favorite Nintendo games.
They've got us.
I'm really
They've
looking
got
forward to
us.
this. I think it's going to be fun.
Let's talk about pricing real quick
Yep.
because one of the big questions I feel like when Nintendo announced that they were pausing pre-orders in North America to kind of like reevaluate the marketplace is are they going to mess with pricing of the consoles? And I feel like, they've given themselves wiggle room because in the announcement of the pre-order date, they were saying that, based on future market conditions, all of this could change again.
Right.
But when they came back, the pricing of the console and the Mario Kart World bundle didn't change, still $450 and $500.
all of the games as well.
And all the games remained the same.
To be fair, they're really only listing the price right now of a handful of games.
Right, which is, we don't know what third-party games are going to cost.
Yeah,
we really only
we
know
some of them.
Do
but-
we?
Yeah, we do, but they're like the Japanese ones.
Oh, okay.
So like
But like Cyberpunk 2077,
we don't know.
We don't know.
Exactly. Yes.
But what they did, it seems like their compromise was console remains the same, and then we're gonna spread price increases across all of the accessories. So everything went up
Right.
between basically between $5 and $10. I think there's a couple of exceptions where it maybe went up $1, but for the most part,
Yeah, for
all the changes
Correct.
are between $5 and $10.
And maybe it was like $2 for like the Joy-Con straps or something like that. Like you said, like $1. I think the biggest increase was in the Switch 2 dock. If you were buying it just by itself, that went up like $15 or something along those lines. It's a $119.99, so $120 now.
But like the Pro controller, I think went up $5, so
Yep,
it's like
that's
$85 now. A Joy-Con pair, they're almost $100, so it is not cheap
Right.
to buy. It's basically $20 more than a pair of Joy-Con was to buy the Joy-Con 2.
I mean, they were $80 before.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's almost $20 more. I guess $15 more.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it's just like one of the like just sort of like you can apply a $10 price increase to all things that were originally for Switch, now for Switch 2. That's like a good rule of thumb, right?
Right. And then there's like
And then there's now
$5
$5
more or
right.
$10 more on top of it.
I remember having this conversation with you when the original Switch launched, and maybe not very well expressing myself at the time. And I'm going to do the same thing now and not express myself very well. The difference between buying a Switch 2 and just buying like all of the accessories that come with the Switch 2 makes the system itself seem crazy affordable.
Oh, because like if you're buying a pro if you're buying a pro controller,
no pro controller. I'm saying if you buy, so the price of a Switch 2 is $450, right? If you were to buy everything that's in that box, so you're getting a pair of Joy-Cons, that's $95. You're getting the a pair of Joy-Con straps, which is another $14, so we're at $110. You're getting the dock, which is $120, so now we're up to $330, right? And then also the AC adapter is another $35. We're up to I lost track of it, but we're at like $360. You're now spending $90 for the Switch 2 itself.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So if you wanted to get like another like full suite of the accessories that come with the original Switch, it might almost just make more sense to buy a second Switch 2.
I think I will, like, I'm obviously going to try for the Mario Kart World bundle, and I'm assuming that the majority of their inventory is going to be the bundle.
I would think so too.
But I'll pre-order just a standard Nintendo Switch 2 if that's the only thing that's available.
If that's what's available from Best Buy. Or
just that's a good question,
because we're gonna have to make these like snap decisions of like, if I don't get this here, should I try for it elsewhere,
right?
Or what exactly? I suppose you could always cancel pre-orders too.
Yeah.
So that's
right.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Breathe,
everybody,
breathe.
We're
all gonna get through it. We're all gonna get a Switch 2 if we want one at some point.
That's right.
This is also when Nintendo revealed their new pricing. The first time that they Nintendo of America anyways, explicitly stated that in the US, Mario Kart World is $80 both digitally and physically. It has always been assumed to be true.
Yes.
Because that's all, this differs from like Europe, where the digital copies, the MSRP for the digital copies is like $10 cheaper than the MSRP for the physical copies. But that has never been the case for Mario Kart World in the US. It's always been $80, but Nintendo like refused to comment on it until this officially came out.
Well, I do wonder how much of that is them really like doing the math on how many copies they expect to sell in the different formats, because like now more than ever, there is an extra cost for like an imported good, right? Like we got these tariffs, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. There's at least a 10% tariff on anything coming into the country. But that doesn't apply to a digital purchase of ones and zeros,
right?
That's not an import. That's just data. So like there's a very real like difference in what their profit on that is. But I just think that is if there ever was a time that they were going to institute it in North America, now would be the time. But they're just not doing that. I think they still, especially around the time of a console launch, still very much need their retail partners in play and active and happy, right?
I'm assuming that part of that is why they like retailer pre-orders are going first, and then Nintendo's pre-orders are rolling second.
Yeah, it's so rare, right, that a video game company is like in a position where like they need the retailers now. But like the launch of a console is exactly that.
Is this the first time that Nintendo of America is selling consoles directly to consumers through their online store? Because I feel like in the past few years, Nintendo has...
I mean, they've done like refurbed consoles.
They have, but I mean like brand new, like launch day.
Yeah, maybe not.
because I feel like in the last few years, Nintendo has slowly started being Nintendo of America has slowly like started making their online store more of like a go-to place where people can like buy new stuff instead of being like an informational site that then sends you out to other retailers
Yeah.
because like I think Emio was first available for pre-order on like
Nintendo.com. Yeah.
Nintendo.com and then eventually showed up elsewhere. So I think that this is not
Well,
new.
and like Alarmo, right? Like
Yeah,
that was
also
first
true.
on Nintendo.com.
And I don't think that this is new for other territories, but it feels like we're entering a new era of Nintendo, like just another way for Nintendo to control their,
Totally.
like from soup to nuts, control every
Right.
touch point with customers.
And like, why not? Like the PlayStation website lets you buy consoles and controllers and stuff too. So like, I don't know. It seems like a totally logical thing.
Oh, right, but I think it just reflects the changing nature of like
absolutely,
of how much they rely on retailers. It's like, yes, for a launch they absolutely need retail partners. For consoles, for hardware, like they really need retail partners, but
also I would say that beyond just a place for people to buy these things, also, I don't think we're totally past the point where like people need a place to try it out. Like demo stations are going to be existing in a Best Buy. And even if like foot traffic at a regular Best Buy isn't what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, people will still go to these places to try these things out.
Yeah.
GameStop too, I'm sure. Probably Walmart. I don't know. I haven't been to Walmart in like 15 years. But yeah, I think a lot of these there'll be like hands-on stations too. And obviously Nintendo's done such an aggressive job of having these. Actually, I say such an aggressive job, but they're really only doing 3 U.S. cities, right?
Right.
So like they could be they could
do
more.
more.
They could do more. But that's just like another arm, another function for these partners.
For sure. But the price changes don't stop there. This is another one where like I don't really understand Nintendo's strategy of like not just being upfront about this kind of stuff because amiibo. There were some new amiibo announced. There were the Tears of the Kingdom, not champions. They are sages.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the
and Pokemon Day is
February 27th.
And Dominic Monaghan's character in Rise of Skywalker is
Beaumontkin.
Okay, great.
And I feel like there was a third thing that we're supposed to remember,
but we don't remember.
But then the Street Fighter 6 amiibo, like so new amiibo, and retailers are beginning to list them with prices, but it's another one where Nintendo has not officially commented, and I'm like, just get ahead of it, guys.
Yeah, guys, what are we doing? Especially because Best Buy initially. So we'll start with the Sages because there's Sages and the Street Fighter 6 ones. The Tears of the Kingdom Sages originally showed up on Best Buy.
Shinya Takahashi. That's the presenter.
That's the one. That's who Shinya Takahashi. You're right.
Nintendo Directs.
And what's his title? Don't look it up. Best Buy listed the Tears of the Kingdom Sages at $19.99, and then those product pages came down, and then they started to come back up on Best Buy and GameStop and possibly Walmart at $29.99, a $30 price point for each one of those Tears of the Kingdom amiibo. For reference, amiibo, are generally in the like 18 to 20 range for like regular sized ones, and like the Loftwing Zelda amiibo for Skyward Sword HD.
It's a good looking amiibo.
It's a good looking amiibo, but it was $24.99, right? And it's sort of like that's the high end of like a regular looking amiibo. And these are $30, or at least they're presumed to be $30 right now. We've not had any official word on what the MSRP actually is.
Right. That's what like GameStop and
Best Buy
Best Buy are listing it as. But yes, there is no official word from Nintendo, and you're like, did we learn nothing from the past like few weeks with all the stuff, with all the discussion around the pricing of the Switch 2? Like
I mean I don't know. I think they're just like, we've got so much cool stuff, and then like pricing is always bad news, right? And so they're just like doling it out as slowly and as confusing as
I don't understand.
They're not even doling it out here is the thing.
Right.
Like we don't know what these things are going to cost. And then the Street Fighter 6 amiibo, which there are 3 of, are originally appeared at $29.99, have reappeared at $39.99. which is a lot of money.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Each of these amiibo, presumably or perceivably, it seems as though they have been raised in price by $10 each. And so if you have a disease like I do and you have to buy all of the amiibos, that's $70 extra.
Now, are those available for pre-order? Do we know when these are gonna
Mark,
go for
we don't
pre-order?
even know if the Tears of the Kingdom amiibo are going to be available for pre-order.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, that's what I meant. Like,
Oh.
yeah, none of that stuff has come up for pre-order yet.
None of it has come up for pre-order yet. Do we think it'll be available for pre-order with
Because
the Switch 2s?
because they come out on
same day.
the same day as the Switch 2.
Yes.
Speaking of which, the item that at some point I'm assuming will be available for pre-order or even just purchase that makes me hyperventilate the most
GameCube
is the
controller.
GameCube
Yes.
controller.
Me too. For a couple of reasons. One, it's only available from Nintendo.com,
Uh-huh.
and we don't know when that pre-order, if there are even going to be
I
pre-orders.
can't remember if they said it would be. Yeah.
Well, and also, Mark, what do you think it's going to cost?
Oh, that is a great
We have no
question.
information about that.
We have no information about that. Do you remember how much the Nintendo 64 controller cost? Was that 40?
I think it was 40.
Okay,
yeah.
I think that this is going
Might
to
have been
be
50. Might have been 50.
Okay.
I think this thing will be $60.
I think it'll be $60 too. At least. It actually would not now with like this extra $5 to $10 to $15 add on everything. It wouldn't surprise me if it's 65
or
70.
Yeah.
70 feels
I'm going to eat these words, but it can't be more than 70.
70 feels kind of insane when you're like, for $25 more I can get a pair of Joy-Con too.
Right.
But Nintendo knows that people
we want
that
that
want this
Joy-Con.
GameCube controller are insane.
Yeah.
So they're going to.
The thing is, like every other re-release of the GameCube controller for use on Wii or
That's a good point. They've
always been
before.
cheap, right? They're usually like $30.
You're right. There's been official like GameCube-esque
Right.
controllers released by Nintendo. Yeah, you're right.
Or licensed by Nintendo, like from like Power A or Hori or whoever, but like officially licensed stuff. And they're never that expensive. They're usually pretty reasonable. And I just wonder where they're going to land with this.
I know. Yeah. So that's the one. That's the one that gives me heart palpitations.
I hope it's 50, 60's acceptable, 70's too high, and it's going to be 80.
Hey, believe it or not, there was actually a Mario Kart World Direct last week.
No, okay, all right, we're moving on. Well, hold on. I want to talk just a little bit more about Street Fighter 6.
Oh, yeah.
Street Fighter 6 amiibo. If I can. There are currently 2 Street Fighter amiibo that exist, Ken and Ryu, from the Smash series. It's a little frustrating to me that these new amiibo are like on a different scale. They're maybe like 25% taller than the Ryu and Ken amiibo, so they will look strange on a shelf next to them.
Yeah, interesting choice.
It's an interesting choice, and like, whatever. They're not Smash Brothers amiibo featuring Street Fighter characters. They're Street Fighter amiibo. Fine. But then, before like digging into how much are these things going to cost me and can I pre-order them, I was not aware that they were also releasing amiibo cards for Street Fighter 6. Are you tuned into this at all? All of the playable characters that are in this Street Fighter 6 year 1 through 2 edition have
Camp.
Reboot Camp, Reloaded, Remastered,
Origins.
Yeah, they have cards that you can buy like a pack.
I did not know that. For all the characters, not just the characters that they're...
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
No, I didn't know that.
Can't really see what that pack of cards is going to cost you, if the pack of cards includes all of them, or if there's like a blind draw component to it, like there are in most packs of cards when you buy them. But there are 22 cards total, and we don't know what their functionality is. It is shrouded in mystery. This game and these accessories come out on June 5th. I know, like, and is Nintendo holding Capcom's tongue on this one? Why isn't Capcom communicating about this?
I mean, I guess, like you said, there's still 6 weeks or whatever until the console releases. So
I guess we're coming in hot. People are making their budgets and complaining about how much they have to spend.
I know.
So like, I just I think it is time for some pricing transparency here.
I do think it's fun that they're making those cards. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think it's fun too. I wish I knew what it did.
Right.
Like, do you train them up like you can amiibo in Smash Brothers?
Right.
Or is it just like, you're saving like your maybe your custom character from the like World Tour mode, or whatever. I guess there are a bunch of different things that you could save to them and then bring to like tournaments or whatever, but it would have to be tournaments using the Switch version of the game. Anyway, yeah, but hey, you must have more information about this, Capcom. Like, let's roll it out.
Where is your interest on the Street Fighter 6 amiibo?
Yeah, I want them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm bummed that they're not the same size as the Street Fighter 2 amiibo, but I'm also like,
yeah,
I like Street Fighter. I like amiibo.
Oh.
What am I gonna do?
Now
okay. We can move on.
Yeah, let's talk about the Mario Kart World Direct. It was like a 15-minute presentation that Nintendo released last Thursday at 6 a.m. Pacific time. And I did not get up early to watch it, but I did watch it later, and I thought like it makes sense to me why they broke it out as its own thing separate from the Switch 2 reveal.
Yes.
And I think and this sounds like silly, but I do think it's true. For somebody who is unfamiliar with Mario Kart, or somebody who is unfamiliar with like some of the mechanics that they talk about, I think that it makes a lot of sense for them to reveal do a presentation like this. But I slipped up there and said trailer, and that's really what it felt like, was just like an extended
long trailer,
trailer, because I would say that there wasn't really, it's not that there wasn't anything new in it, but I think that my expectation is that there's going to be a lot to discover in the game that was not covered here.
Right. Well, so I do think that a lot of what was in this Direct, people like you and I, and probably listeners of the show, already knew about, because it's the kind of stuff that was being covered and revealed in Treehouse Live, or like any outlet that got a chance to go to one of these in-person events and like talk about it, that we just like knew a lot of this stuff already.
Yeah.
But only because we're super plugged in and
totally.
we're like, scraping the bottom of the barrel for like any usable piece of information about Mario Kart World. This just kind of served that stuff up on a platter. And we were like, why are you serving this to me on a platter? I already got it off the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But I mean, what were your like takeaways from? I did wake up at 6 a.m. to watch this thing. I had been awake already, but I watched it live and felt like, oh, okay, they tricked me a little bit. I didn't need to tune in to this thing as it was happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was fine.
Yeah,
it was fine.
It was
fine.
Right.
Like, we didn't really break out the individual segments. A lot of times when there's a Nintendo Direct, we will go kind of beat for beat through the whole thing.
Right.
But it just doesn't really feel necessary. I think
right. If we had rearranged our schedule to do an episode just about that Direct, we'd be like,
thin gruel.
What do we do now?
But it's interesting though, because I feel that way, and yet it doesn't dampen my excitement for the experience.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's not that they didn't show new things, because they showed off stuff like the rewind feature,
right,
which I think is kind of crazy that you can do it. Like, it's cool that you can do it during a race. Like, if you miss a jump or something like that, you can choose to rewind your character to attempt it again, but everyone else
keeps going,
and that's cool.
That's incredibly cool. It's just like slowly turning Mario Kart World into Tenant, right? I think is rad.
We saw a little bit of like how it'll interact with the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, and just like stuff like that. I mean, I just think it looks...
we saw the battle mode a little bit.
Yes,
right?
That's right. We saw battle mode.
And then like some of the other modes that we had seen before. What I liked was seeing the free roam stuff delved into in a little bit more detail, and like sort of confirming that there are objectives and secrets and things to find in that world that aren't just aesthetic. You're not just trying to take fun pictures when you're out there with your friends. You are hitting P switches, you're collecting coins, like special coins, and like there's like another thing where you like go over, like drive over some kind of like pad and something happens. I forget exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I can't remember either. But I also thought like, you know, they make a big deal about you can drive through to get these like what do they call them? Like dash food. And it gives you a speed boost, but then also sometimes unlocks special outfits. And outfits seem like they're going to be a big part of this game. And it makes me
what's your read on the outfits? So like, it looks like when you have a character with an outfit, it's selected as like a separate character.
That is, yeah, like on the character select screen, it seems like instead of having like Peach, and then you can rotate through Peach's like colors or something for her
Sword
outfit
fighter,
or something
cowgirl.
like that. Yeah, exactly. Instead, on the character select screens, yes, it seems like Peach can show up 5-6 times depending on the different outfits that she has.
Right.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case.
So does that mean, are we expecting there to be like, first of all, I assume that not every character has every outfit.
I think that's true. Yeah.
And then so like the dry fish or skeleton fish or whatever it's called, does that have any outfits?
Yeah, we don't know. That's the sort of stuff that like I think could be interesting. Maybe some of these, I guess they'll all be at like some sort of drive-through restaurant, but maybe they'll be in like remote locations that are unexpected. Right. Also, at the end, they tease like Rainbow Road as something that you unlock by completing all of the other cups, which makes me think that it's going to be like another area and not just a singular track.
Well, I think you can see Rainbow Road on the map, right? Like there's a part in like the north. Where am I pointing right now?
Never eat soggy waffles.
Northeast corner. That like it looks like it goes up into the clouds, and then there's like rainbowy stuff.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't know. It just seems like they are being not cagey, but I just think like free roam mode is that the potential is there in my mind for it to be something like Breath of the Wild-ish, where it's like, whoa, I didn't know that this existed, or like I gotta go over there and check that out.
I didn't know I could do this.
But I don't know if that'll turn out to be true, but that's kind of the expectation that I have for this.
Yeah. Possibly a dangerous expectation.
Yes,
but,
possibly.
I think the one thing that we can assume pretty much for sure is that like there's not going to be any kind of story mode in the map.
Right.
If there's something that Nintendo loves over explaining in a trailer about a game that hasn't come out yet, it's that like these are the theats and you're visiting their theater and you're like, what? Wow, I don't care. Tell me what I'm doing in this game. And I think if there was a story, we would have like had some of that laid out for us already.
The part that is kind of, or that I have a question on, and the answer to this may be known, but I do not know the answer.
Great.
Is, you know how in the Grand Prix you are racing on the courses, but then you are also racing to get to the next course?
Right.
Do they award points for that? Are you like, does the order in which you arrive at the next race, is that the order in which you like line up in? Like that's the part I don't really care.
It's a great question, and like presumably you have to start when everyone else is there, right? So like if you're playing by yourself, I could see them just like shortcutting to everyone else catches up with you, and then you start the race. But I don't know. I really don't know. There's a lot about this game, and you know I've not been super deep in Treehouse coverage and stuff like that, because I do kind of want. I know these things are going to be full of surprises, and I want to experience those surprises. So yeah, I don't know. I also don't know if like when you're doing these Grand Prix races, if you're doing laps of these individual circuits,
right?
And then like on the last one, you like turn off a different direction so that you can drive to the next course, or if it's a one-way thing. I don't know.
Also, it feels like there's the potential for it to be just like a lot of racing where there's no break. You're just constantly, going through like a Grand Prix. There's no like reset time. So it'll just be interesting to see how all of that works.
Right. Well, and I mean, like, I don't know, that's kind of what I want in a Mario Kart.
I feel like that's a long time to just be like
when we
constantly
ranked
going.
the tracks, Mark, when we ranked when we added the new ones in, Sarah and I did a 96 track Grand Prix.
Well, but I mean, we can't.
Go on. You can't. Say what you're gonna say.
You can't expect everyone.
I did like that they were showing off the new they call them here new techniques.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that's right.
which there's the sort of like jumps and tricks and rail grinds, and also like kind of wall riding, and all of this seems like it is in service of new ways to play and new ways to like feel out the limits of a track, and more importantly as like a method of exploration. And that's one of my favorite things in a 3D Mario game is like you have to master Mario's athleticism in order to find new stuff in this world. But Mario Kart, and I'm like, yes, absolutely, please give it to me.
Yeah, that's where I feel like it just has the potential to be a lot of fun.
Right. And coupled with the rewind mechanic where like you can try something
Right.
weird and be like, hey, can I get up there or not? And that you can try it a couple times and maybe you lose some position, and maybe who cares, because like you get some better items to overtake the first place racer anyway.
Yeah.
It just seems like they've opened up the canvas here a little bit, and I can't wait to like get in there and start messing around with it.
Yeah, totally. And finally, just wanted to call out that Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo, for at least one brief shining moment, was the #1 best-selling item in the wall clock category on Amazon Japan.
Okay, now that is interesting.
Uh-huh.
Would you call the Alarmo a wall
clock?
clock?
No, I would not.
It is a tabletop clock, right?
Yes. Yeah, it is funny to see like the Alarmo up there with just other wall clocks like you would see at a dentist office or
What's your stance on a wall clock?
Do
you have any in your home?
No, I think other than we have like a couple of like smart devices, and I just didn't want to trigger it by using the trigger
the forbidden words,
and then the like the stove or whatever. We don't otherwise have clocks, like wall clocks. No.
We have one wall clock in our home. It hangs above the TV, and the batteries died in it over the weekend, and I had to replace them. But it made me realize how frequently I'm just like sort of casually glancing up above the TV to see what time it is, and it drove me crazy that it was giving me bad information.
Well, yeah, I mean that is true. If you're gonna have a clock,
it better be right.
It's got to be right.
Right, and I don't mean twice a day. I mean all the time. I remember having that sensation when I went to college. And I went. My first year of college was basically like pre-cell phones, right? Like people didn't have.
Right. Yeah.
I guess people wore watches, so I could have changed this on my own if I wanted to. But I was so used to high school where like everywhere you looked, there was like a clock in every classroom.
Yeah.
A clock in every hallway. Because your whole schedule is determined by that bell and that clock. And then in college, that just wasn't the case. And I was like, man, I hate that I'm just seeing people like from high school that I didn't want to see anymore, but I went to college for my first year in the same town that I went to high school in. And I had this fantasy where I could just like wave a wand and turn someone that I knew in high school into a clock. Just replace a thing I didn't want to see with a thing I did want to see. Okay, so the Alarmo, for a brief shining moment, was the #1 best-selling wall clock in Japan.
On Amazon Japan.
Okay, so it's a very specific...
Shine on, you crazy wall clock, you.
Shine on. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, you should be in our Discord if you're not. Email us and I'll send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.